Welcome to the Taco Cast. I'm Crystal.
I'm Will.
You're the audience. And as hopefully today you can see that my face isn't quite as washed out.
Her pasty white skin is not reflecting off the lamp.
And he's over here adjusting the lights and asked me if I've ever seen the sun. I'm a little sad by that, but I have in fact seen the sun.
When was the last time you saw it?
It's so hopefully I'm not bleaching everything out today.
Yeah. They keep her in a dark corner in the laboratory, so they don't want her to leave when it's daylight hours. They let her out at night, kind of like a vampire.
That's actually not wrong, right? My office is kind of off the side.
Do you have a window?
I don't have any windows, no.
No windows?
No.
Is there any windows at all?
No. There are. There are. Oh. So laboratories are...
What do you get to look at? Parking lot?
Labs are typically like in the guts of a building. Like I'm fairly convinced that a lot of hospitals and stuff like build basements just so they can put the lab workers in it, because screw those guys. So working in the lab, you're just not used to windows. But the facility I'm at now, there's a whole wall of windows. It's kind of
What does it look at?
It doesn't matter. It's windows. Yes, it's a parking lot.
All right. So we're actually going to get to our topic now. Today, the topic is we're going to talk about what it was like when we first started dating and when we first started off a relationship and being busted ass broke. It was not easy for us. To give you just the overall view of it, living paycheck to paycheck would have been great where we were when we first started. We didn't even live paycheck to paycheck. If we would have made it that long, it would have been, we're doing great. So.
Yeah, definitely. We had roommates because that's the only way bills got paid was if you had additional hands paying the bills. That was... it worked out kind of nice. The place that we were renting at the time had a basement apartment let. It wasn't really an apartment, but it kind of was in the basement, so it made it easier for at least one of our roommates had kind of their own space because there was a little shower sink thing down there and a really, really big most of the basement was a bedroom. So it was nice for whomever was down there. It kind of stalled. Okay, sorry.
Oh yeah.
I
saw smoke coming out of your
back
ears there.
In the memories. So there were some times when let's just say everybody borrowed money from their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Borrow money from parents, payday loans.
Oh,
it was horrible.
Payday loans are a freaking racket.
But I can't live without my payday loan. I might starve.
Did you guys ever see that commercial when it came out? It was literally this little old woman that said, "If it wasn't for payday loans, I would die, or my little cat would die." And we watched that. When did that come out? I think it was slightly after we bought our house.
It was around there somewhere.
It was around there. So it...
Well, you think you're skipping ahead, though, before you get to that point, though.
Well, when we saw the commercial, we hadn't been that far removed from the time period when we had taken out payday loans to pay emergency expenses and stuff like that. So we were well acquainted with the racket that is payday loans and the inability to get out of that cycle once you're in it. So we first saw that commercial and I busted up laughing. I was like, that is some bullshit right there.
But, we have to give a little more context to this period of time in our lives. I mean, we were both working full-time. And even working full-time, we couldn't pay rent anywhere by ourselves. Mm-mm. There was no way we were going to be able to pay. If we found some place that was affordable, we certainly weren't going to be able to pay for electricity or, food or anything else. And if it wasn't for, help from our families who helped us out and got us through that period of time, we would still be in that rut. And I think, looking back on the entire thing. I think the one thing that we decided that made the difference and got us out of that situation where we were at financially, emotionally, spiritually, we were just completely drained and had nothing. Was we both decided that education was the only thing that was ever going to lift us up out of where we were. We weren't going to be able to work at that job for 20 years, and then somehow be able to economically get us out of that place. And I'm not talking about going to college necessarily. We took kind of an alternative route to our education, trade school, and then she learned on the job a whole new trade from where she was before that, and that these opportunities came to us because I think a lot of it was because we were willing and we were in a position within our lives and we understood that education was the only way we were ever going to get out of that. And we went through what 3 different roommates in that house.
Yeah,
Three different roommates, and there's periods of times when roommates just decide, you know what, I don't want to live here anymore. And go bye bye for no reason.
One of our roommates actually went on to be a successful artist, but she moved in with us for a little while. Her and the gal that she was dating at the time had decided that they maybe needed some space apart for a little while, and it was kind of convenient. We had a space. Her and her girlfriend were looking to get some distance, so she moved in with us for a while, and then they live in Seattle now. Different girl. They decided to split up amicably, from what I understand, and then she met somebody new, and they've been together for what 15, 20, like a long time.
Well, they're married.
Yeah.
So. And they live in Vancouver, Washington.
I don't know, coast, the rainy side.
You're like all the way to the other side of the.
It's like everything from the mountains over is Seattle, and I think we all know it.
No, but there were periods of time though, even with roommates, and we were renting, and trying to survive and get by, as well as we could, and make a go of it in our lives. I mean, we had our power turned off. I learned from a friend who showed me how to turn the power back on once they disconnect it. And I won't go through the step-by-step process here, but just basically remove their stupid tab, and they put a plastic piece in the inside that stops the current from being able to transmit. So, just like a fuse box.
Yeah, they don't like it when you do that.
No. When they find out about it, they come out and they put an actual real lock on there. But he showed me how to bypass that as well, in case they ever did do that. But I mean, that was where we were at. We were barely making it and surviving. But we knew things were going to change, and things slowly changed. They never happened at the speed that we wanted them to change.
Well, I think we were lucky too, for some of the opportunities that we had. I worked for an employer at the time who was willing to work around childcare. Childcare is expensive, man.
Oh hell yeah!
Cost of living is crazy. Especially, we were working 2 full-time jobs. He was full-time employed. I was full-time employed. And once you take rent and childcare, well, then you got to decide: do you want to eat or do you want to keep the lights on?
The story of our lives back then was we made too much money for any kind of assistance with childcare or with anything else, but we were still too poor to not need it. It was like every time we turned around, we were like, oh, here's a new childcare place. And they're like, well, have you filled out this paperwork to, see if you can get, assistance with childcare? Fill it out, and they'd be like, nah, you make a couple $100 a month too much. Or if you sold this off, or you went bankrupt, we can help you then.
Yeah, we actually literally had one person when we had applied for assistance tell us that we weren't eligible. We had 2 cars.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think they were probably talking out of their ass. Let's be fair, they probably were. I don't think that, you've got 2 vehicles. For two people who work full time on opposite ends of the city, yeah, we have two vehicles. It's
It's
literally
the
how
only
we
way we
get
can make it work.
to the place where
But
we
I mean,
make the
neither one
money.
of our cars were new. They weren't expensive cars. We bought them, with cash, and they were barely road legal.
My Volkswagen at the time, I had bought from a friend of mine, and my grandparents had actually put together half of the money. And I'd bought it when I was in high school. My grandparents put together half the money to buy the Volkswagen if I came up with the other half, so I did, right? So we bought this Volkswagen.
Take your hand away from your mouth.
Oh, sorry. Mom, now you can't hear me. So we bought this Volkswagen. I bought this Volkswagen when I was in high school, and I lent it to my stepdad, who worked at a truck yard. He takes it to the truck yard, and apparently somebody was doing maintenance while he was out driving, and they didn't put the parking brake on the semi, so the semi rolls down the driveway and just right into my Volkswagen. So of course, they want to scrap it, and my stepdad was like, "Yeah, no, that's my stepkid's car, and she really likes it, so you're fixing it. It's a classic." So they go in, they fix it. Long story short, that poor Volkswagen had so much Bondo on it, I could probably drive it through airport security. And it was literally when the mechanics went in to fix the damage that had been caused by the semi that rolled into it. We got a phone call when the guy was like, "So, why is there chicken wire holding the engine?"
There was chicken wire holding the engine into the actual car. There were beer cans that were used to mount parts of the car together. Somebody had done some really rinky-dink things to this car.
Somebody done so they did really played fast and loose with the whole maintenance.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, and there was another time that same car. We were at her mother's visiting, and her father-in-law looks out the big picture window in the front of the house and goes, "Hey, your car's on fire." And then nonchalantly just walks away.
Oh yeah, he's
And
in
we
front of the
walk
window
out there and there's
with
smoke
his...
billowing out of the car. She had an electrical fire in there because someone had rewired the entire electrical in it. That's just how bad these cars were that
They
we
were
drove.
bad. Yeah, they weren't.
And
They weren't quality vehicles.
no, but these two cars were too expensive for us to get any kind of assistance. And maybe in retrospect, looking back on it, it made us work a little harder, made us save a little bit more, made us, it pushed us a little bit harder to, get out of the situation we were in, to get to, where we are now. And eventually, it took quite a few years to get to this position, to, to have this house and, and all this that we have now. And I know, and it doesn't escape me that just how fortunate we've been over the years. But what back then is the point of this podcast today is, it just because you may be struggling and the chips feel like they're stacked against you, it doesn't mean that it's not going to get better and that there's not any hope for you out there. We made it, and hundreds of thousands of other people have made it, and we all had to struggle to get there. What you need to do is you need to look at what is going to change your situation today. What can you do tomorrow? Even if it's just something tiny. If it's something, it doesn't even have to be about financial. It could be about maybe your health isn't the best today. Is there something that you can do tomorrow to mentally change your look on the outcome of the next day? And keeping a positive attitude can change a lot of things in this world. And we never lost, that positivity. And now, here we are today in this situation, and we are not only fortunate to have all this around us, but we know we're fortunate, and we give back to everyone, to different organizations that help children and elderly, and our community. We believe in that so much. So, if we had an extra $50 in our pocket, we would just give it to them without even thinking, because that's who we are. Because we understand what it was like to be there, to not have any food at all in our home, to feed our baby, let alone to feed ourselves, to not have electricity, not to have rent, not to have gas in our car. I mean, you gave up everything to take care of your baby first. And that's where we were then. And now we have a 3-year-old who is absolutely spoiled. He gets everything.
Yeah, that actually is, that's a downside, I think, because we weren't in a position to give a lot to our oldest when she was little, and now that we're in a position,
We don't know how to say no. We really don't. In a lot of aspects, we really do not know how to say no to him.
well,
We see something new, we're like, hey, you know what? I bet he'd like that. I'm just gonna get it because
It's not that bad.
we don't have to think about it now so much. I mean, we're not wealthy by any means at all, but not financially wealthy. I think spiritually, and loving, and caring, we are beyond where we ever thought that we would be. If we would have just had this 2-car garage, if that would have been ours back then, and we could call it ours, we would have been happy.
I'm looking around this 2-car garage, and I'm remembering that we have lived in places that were smaller than this garage.
Oh yeah, a lot smaller. Yeah, this is larger than our first house.
Mm-hmm.
The first house we bought was smaller than this 2-car garage.
You remember when we were looking at it? We're looking at the house, right? And it's in our price range, which was tiny. It's in our price range, and it's back in the city. We're moving out of the county, which I loved. But anyways, it's back in the city, and we got Elizabeth with us, who at the time was junior high. Yeah, junior high, because it was just a little bit across from the junior high school. So anyways, we're looking at the house, and we're looking across at the high school there, which is just a block away, or the junior high, and it's like, well, on the upside, she won't ever be late to school again, right? And she looks at me, and she just has this look on her face, just like, you would make me walk?
A block.
Bill and I are
not
like,
even a block.
Like, dude, I could throw you from the porch and get you there.
Yeah.
Walk. It's like literally right over there. But,
Out the door, 20 feet, 30 feet to the corner, she's there.
yeah. It was tiny. And really, the only reason we bought it, that we were able to buy it, was because we had assistance from Mom. Bank of Mom charges considerably less interest than, Bank of America.
But she made some money on it. Her mom has always been one of, it's never been, I'll loan you $20 or borrow you $20. Mm-hmm. It's never $20. $20 always costs you $30.
There is a contract. You will sign it.
And you will sign interest. Your damn life, and you will pay her on the date when you say you're going to pay her. You say you're going to pay her on payday. You need $30. It's going to cost you $50, and you damn well better have that $50 and be there, because she will keep that. And she had a notebook. She still does. She wrote down everything, and every time we ever borrowed money, and if we paid it, then she wrote in when we paid it, and if we were on time. Be a couple times late? No. The third time, you don't use me like that. And she kept it to us, so we actually never went to the Bank of Mom unless we had to. And she understood that, but she made you not necessarily crawl to ask for the money, but she made sure you understood the consequences of how much she worked for her money, and where she was when she first started off, and how she got to where she is, and only because she was fiscally responsible, which definitely gave us like, okay, yeah, we have to understand that we have to work together, and we have to have a budget, and without the budget, we're never getting anywhere. And without the ability to actually have better employment, because even back then when we had nothing, we had no food at all. I mean, we weren't making minimum wage. We were making a good wage. We just couldn't afford anything for what, 30 miles.
I was making minimum wage
at your original job.
Mm-hmm.
But after you left there, you weren't making minimum wage, and it still wasn't enough.
I remember when they raised the minimum wage the first time. I had just gotten a raise, and then they're like, minimum wage went up 25 cents, and I was like, oh, so I'm making X amount now? And they're like, no, you're making this. And I was like, but I'm making minimum wage again. And they're like, yeah. I was like, that doesn't seem weird to you? You literally just gave me a raise, but now I'm making minimum wage again? They're like, yeah, no, it's fine. I'm like, Ma, I don't think it is. I don't think it's fine.
Yeah. We've been there. We have definitely been broke, to the point where nothing was easy.
Well, I think a big part of why we got out of that hole was because we had community. We had friends, we had family, we had people that were willing to help. Because there were times where, we had to have somebody step in and help out. And if they hadn't been there, who
True.
knows how bad it would have gotten. I'm thankful that I had good opportunities. I'm thankful for my job. Uh, that they trained me and they gave me opportunities for on the job learning and that I could advance. And even after I've left them, I left on good terms with my old employer. I still help them out on occasion. Yeah. Uh, uh, I'm also thankful I'm in a position to give back.
I'm definitely thankful for that,
You know.
especially in this point in our lives. None of us are guaranteed it tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and we've had medical setbacks, we've had financial setbacks.
We've had a lot of medical setbacks, and I apologize because most of them were me.
Just saying, I wasn't going to mention any names, but yes, you're right. It was mainly you.
I was like, you know what? It looks like we're finally getting our bills paid off. I
Not so
should get
much.
cancer.
Right? and yet that cancer wasn't fun.
I know.
It was totally misleading.
Not nearly as fun as I'd been led to believe.
I know. That's just not fair.
Mm-mm.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Thank you again for joining us. Again, leave a comment down below, like, share, hit that bell icon, be notified when the next episode uploads, and if you have a suggestion for something you'd like to hear us cover in the next episode, I mean, leave it down below. We'll talk about just about anything except for there are certain personal matters, that, and we will not have our son on here. But thank you for everybody who keeps on messaging me and asking me to share pictures and photos of either our wedding or our child. These are for personal reasons. We have decided not to cover those individual items, but we will cover just about anything else. If you have a topic, please comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And please stay safe out there and have a great week.